folks, my name is Andre and I'm a storyteller. I'm a member of the Storytellers of Canada. I'm Indigenous Moose Cree from Northern Ontario. And my stories are in poem form, and my favorite poet is Robert Service. Who's familiar with Robert Service? Most. If you weren't. Okay, so, and how many people live in the Okanagan, in Summerland? Most. And how many people know of the Service connection to Summerland? Sam McGee, a few people. Okay. So if you go on the other side of Giant Head, up Prairie Valley Road to Lister, just before you turn off to the dump, and you turn on to Lister and to the curve of Dale Meadows Road is where the original Sam McGee, the real Sam McGee, lived. And he built himself an orchard out by the cemetery golf course area, a couple hundred acres. And so he was working in the bank and he found Sam McGee's name in the ledger. And it rhymed with Tennessee. He was working on a poem at that time. So he thought, oh, this works, this rhymes. So he said, I'll use that. It's a good name, I'll use it. So Sam McGee and Robert Service met, and Sam was a little tiffed at that. But Robert Service wanted to go for a ride down the river, through the rapids. And Sam McGee ran a barge running through the rapids. So he takes Robert Service along, and they're going through the rapids, and things are getting dangerous. And Sam McGee turns to Robert Service and he says, "You burned me once. I think I'll drown you now." Or so the story goes. So many stories. And I was at the gallery for the Giant Head Arts Festival. And this elderly man came up afterwards and he had a couple of books. And he said, do you know who C.M. was? And I said, yeah, Constance McLean. Now, Constance McLean was Robert Service's romantic interest when he lived on Vancouver Island in Cowichan Bay. And his wife is related to this Constance McLean. Her father's aunt was a doctor in Kelowna. So that's another connection that folks have to Robert Service. The cremation of Sam McGee. So Robert Service had heard the story of these two old-timers out on the trap line. One of them passes away. So what to do with the body? It's 60 below. You don't want the wolves to get it. So, cremation. There are strange things done in the midnight sun by the men that moil for gold. The Arctic trails have their secret tales that would make your blood run cold. The northern lights have seen queer sights, but the queerest they ever did see was that night on the marge of Lake LaBarge. I cremated Sam McGee. Now Sam McGee was from Tennessee, where the cotton blooms and blows. And why he left his home in the south to roam round the pole, God only knows. It was always cold, but that land of gold seemed to hold him like a spell, though he'd often say in his homely way that he'd sooner live in hell. On a Christmas day, we were mushing our way. Yeah, over the Dawson Trail. Talk of your cold, through the parka's fold, it stabbed like a driven nail. And if our eyes we'd closed and the lashes froze till sometimes we couldn't see, it wasn't much fun, but the only one to whimper was Sam McGee. And late that night, as we lay packed tight in our robes beneath the snow, and the dogs were fed and the stars overhead were dancing heel and toe, he turns to me and, says he, I'll cash in this trip, I guess. And if I do, I ask that you won't refuse my last request. Well, he seemed so low, and I couldn't say no. And then he says with a sort of a moan, it's the cursed cold, and it's got right hold till I'm chilled clean through to the bone. yet 'tain't being dead. It's my awful dread of the icy grave that pains. So I want you to swear that foul or fair, you'll cremate my last remains. Pal's last need is a thing to heed, so I swore I would not fail. And we headed on at the streak of dawn, but God, he looked ghastly pale. He crouched on the sleigh and he raved all day of his home in Tennessee. And by nightfall, the corpse was all that was left of Sam McGee. There wasn't a breath in that land of death as I hurried horror-driven, with a corpse half hid that I couldn't get rid because of a promise given. It was lashed to the sleigh and it seemed to say, you may tax your brawn and brain, but you promised true, and it's up to you to cremate these last remains. Well, a promise made is a debt unpaid, and the trail has its own stern code. And in the days to come, though my lips were dumb, in my heart, oh, I cursed that load. And in the long, long night by the lone firelight, while the huskies round in a ring howled out their woes to the homeless snows, oh God, how I loathed that thing. And every day that quiet clay seemed to heavy and heavier grow, but on I went, though the dogs were spent and the grub was getting low. The trail was bad and I felt half mad, but I swore I would not give in, and I'd often sing to the hateful thing, and it hearkened with a grin. Till I came to the marge of Lake LaBarge, and a derelict there lay. It was jammed in the ice, but I saw it twice. It was called the Alice May. Well, I looked at it and I thought a bit, and it looks at me frozen chum. Then here, says I with a sudden cry, is my crematorium. Some planks I tore from the cabin floor, and I lit the boiler fire. Some coal I found that was lying round, and I heaped the fuel on higher. The flames just soared and the furnace roared. Such a blaze you'd seldom see. And I burrowed a hole in the glowing coal, and I stuffed in Sam McGee. And I made a hike, for I didn't like to hear him sizzle. The heavens scowled and the huskies howled, and the winds began to blow. It was icy cold, but the hot sweat rolled down my cheeks, and I don't know why. And the greasy smoke and an inky cloak went streaking across the sky. I do not know how long I stood in the cold with grisly fear, yet the stars came out and they danced about. Ere again I ventured near. I was filled with dread, but I bravely said, I'll just take a peep inside, for I guess he's cooked, and it's time I looked. So the door I opened wide, and there sat Sam looking cool and calm in the heart of the furnace roar. And he wore a smile, you could see a mile, and he says, please close that door. It's fine in here, but I gravely fear you let in the cold and storm. Since I left Plumtree down in Tennessee, it's the first time I've been warned. There are strange things done in the midnight sun by the men that moil for gold. The Arctic trails have their secret tales that would make your blood run cold. The northern lights have seen queer sights, but the queerest they ever did see was that night on the marge of Lake LaBarge. I cremated Sam McGee. Thanks, folks. And Pierre Burton traveled to Monte Carlo to visit Robert Service in 1958. And he worked for CBC, and there's an interview. You can Google all this. And Robert Service confessed to Pierre Burton at that time that his favorite poem was The Cremation of Sam McGee. And you know, these two poems, the other one, Dan LaGrew, made him over $1 million. And that was published in 1906.
Wow.
Monte Carlo.